Hi everyone, this is a couple of short videos on how I gained my pilot's licence at the age of 61. Some of you may be already familiar with the back of my head, and if so, thank you, but if not, watch some of my videos. Anyhow, back to early 2021, I was watching an episode of Rory on Air where he went up to Attitude Air Sports to meet James Walker, who gave him a flight test in his Eurofox. So I thought, from the safety of my settee, that looks like a good fun thing to do. So I rang James, and within a couple of days he got back to me, and I arranged to go up to the club and have a look at his Eurofox. Golf Charlie Kilo X-Ray Mike. So, on the 12th of April 2021, I rocks up at the Flying Club, and I live inland in the UK, and I didn't realise how close the club was to the coast. So we jumped in the plane, took off, and James climbed up, and all of a sudden I could just see this beautiful coastline down towards Blackpool, and from that moment on I was just hooked on it. The area and the flying, and James was an absolutely brilliant instructor. He made you feel really comfortable. He was very professional, and I thought, yes, I've found something that I can do here. So after that, what you do is you move on to just learning how to fly the plane straight and level, and you learn how to do turns and climb it and descend, and the problems with a stall. If you stall the aircraft, it means that the airflow breaks up over the wings and it stops producing lift. But my training progressed quite well, and so the next thing that was to think about is that there's 5 exams to do. There's air law, meteorology, airframe technical, navigation, and I've forgotten another one, but I will remember it shortly. But I thought that I'd like to get them done and out of the way, because the enthusiasm of starting to fly, I'd like to keep that momentum going and get my exams done and out of the way. Anyhow, once you've learned how to handle the aircraft and you're getting quite competent at that, what you do is you go into a stage that's called circuits and bumps. Circuits where you're just flying a lap around the airfield and practicing landing and taking off. And you do that for about maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, however long it takes you to get competent at that. And then the next thing that comes is your first solo. Now, I was terrified of doing my first solo, to be honest. My mind just created this movie inside my head that said, I'm gonna die no matter what. No way am I going to go up and fly a plane on my own. But, and I have to say, I did refuse once or twice when James says, are you ready, would you like to do it? And I was just too scared to do it. But the day came on the 17th of June, and my girlfriend came up to the Flying Club with me, and I thought, I've got to do it at some point. We did a couple of circuits, me and James, and he says, right, you ready? What he does is he puts a ballast bag in the aircraft in his seat to replicate the weight of him, and so that the aircraft doesn't feel any different. And I actually thought, yes, I'm going to go for it. And believe it or not, as soon as you take off, all the training that you've done just takes over, and it's an enjoyable thing to do, and you fly better than you actually do with an instructor, or you seem to anyway, you know. So yeah, I got that out of the way on the 17th of June, straight after my my first solo. James very kindly took my girlfriend up into the air and down towards Blackpool Tower and circled the tower, which meant she was hooked on flying as well, so we were good to go. So with my first solo out of the way and Pam feeling as if she's just had her first lesson on Concorde, it was time to carry on. Now, you may think that once you've started flying on your own, you just carry on, but that's not the case. Because of the weather, it's very often a case that you can't fly solo all the time. So it was another fortnight and another 2 hours before I got to fly on my own again. But the next stages are just doing landings and takeoffs, and then James gradually spiders you out from the airfield. The first time he asked me, he said, would you like to go over to Fleetwood? Just take it over to Fleetwood, come back and do some more landings and circuits. The second time I left the airfield area, he sent me down the coast and to then round in a circle, probably about 30-40 miles, that's all, and then come back and do some more landings. So basically it's a case of just practicing your circuit work and then just spidering gradually out from the airfield, which is a comfortable way of doing it, and it doesn't overface you all at once. Right, I've had a shave. So by this stage I've got my first solo done and I'm flying around the airfield area away from the zone, and the next stage is to do 2 solo cross-country flights and land away at another airfield. Now, mine were Ince and Cark, and I didn't fancy doing this at all, to be honest. I really didn't want to go anywhere. I tried wriggling out of it with James, but he wasn't having any of it. You can actually get a licence with limitations, which means you don't have to do the navigation section of the syllabus, but it only allows you to fly within 8 nautical miles of the airfield. And I tried saying it was okay, that's all I wanted to do, but he wouldn't have it, wouldn't James? So I knew I had to go do these flights. So the day came when I had to set off and fly down to Ince. Now I'd had to take a bit of a dog leg because I had to avoid certain airspace, but I was going to do it and it went alright. When I got down there, it's only a shortish runway at Ince. I had 2 attempts at landing on a runway, and I didn't have room at the end, so I had to go around twice, and then I changed the runway direction and I came in and landed at another one. Now I remember I was the only person down there, so I jumped out of the plane, turned it off obviously, jumped out of the plane and went and paid my landing fee in the little envelope, like what you do. And I didn't want to hang around, to be honest. I jumped straight back in and fired up, and I set off back to the airfield. Now Pam was waiting for me when I got there, and it was nice to see her with a cup of tea ready for me, and it was a great feeling to have actually been somewhere, landed and come back and navigated on your own. You do have Skydemon, and it's a big help, and I mean a big help, but I'll say no more about that. So my next one was up to Cark, which is up north way. A lovely flight, really lovely flight, and you come in and you land over a bay, and got that one done about 2 weeks after I'd done my Cark one, and came back, and that's it. It's a major milestone to have done your 2 solo cross-country flights. Now the next stages of it are to really polish all your skills, do steep turns, stalls, everything that you need to know for your general skills test. Now, I think I had to overwinter after the time I'd done my thing, and I can't remember the exact date, I'll have a look. But the day came round and it was time for my general skills test. The day of the test came round, and it was with a little trepidation that I drove the 63 miles from home up to the airfield. We started with what's called the oral examination. They don't look in your mouth or anything like that. You spend about 45 minutes speaking, James quizzing you on the aircraft and on the legalities of flying, and basically anything that he feels fit to question you on. And then you jump into the plane and it's go time. The first thing that you have to do, it's actually a legal requirement that you have to give a passenger briefing to your passenger. So he wants to check how you do that. That out of the way, we sets off and it says take me up to the training area up over Morecambe. Now you start off and you really get a good grilling about everything about climbing, steep turns, stalls, forced landings, circuit joining procedures, everything. It went on for about an hour and a half, and at the end of it, it's quite a test. But at the end of it, we landed, and when he told me that I'd passed, I actually hugged him. I couldn't help it. I was that chuffed that I gave him a right big hug. I bet he thought I were a right nutter. And we went back in and I got straight on the phone and text Pam, and it felt absolutely brilliant to have finally completed all the training and all the exams and the medical. The medical is actually just a self-declaration, but it was great to have absolutely everything done. Fantastic. Well, what can I say about James Walker? He really is he's a great lad, and he really is an ambassador for aviation. He challenged me and pushed my comfort zone in each lesson, and it was always encouraging, and he was professional and respectful, and his criticisms were always constructive. But what I also liked about it was he always finished the lesson with a well done, whether you'd done well or not, which helped. So, how much did it cost altogether to get my licence? Well, I've worked it out. I had 47 hours at £123 an hour, which comes to £5,781. On top of this, we bought ourselves a pair each of Bose 20 headsets, and they're about £1,000 each. So all in all, about 7,700. But was it worth it? Absolutely. I found learning to fly rewarding, exciting and fun, and to be honest, I was a little bit sad when I'd passed my test and the journey of learning was over.
Jack said that. Wow. Isn't it beautiful? That's amazing, isn't it? Above them, yeah. Isn't it beautiful? Yeah, got them below me now. Just coming up. Yay. Good. All right. Wow, look at that big cloud. Oh, that is mega. Cotton wool. That's amazing. That was worth coming up for, wasn't it? Yeah. Oh. Cross all traffic, Golf X-ray Mike, final runway 20. So full stop.